On today's episode of Adapt and Respond, let's take a look at the Big 12 preseason media poll and where they got some things right, where they got some things wrong. Is it going to be a good year for Colorado or Oklahoma State? Is anybody going to be able to beat up on Texas Tech? Oof. Is the 5-for-5 rule like any good? And what is it going to do to the talent pool around college football? Interesting, especially as we got a bunch of middling quarterbacks that could take advantage of a fifth year in 2027. And Warde Manuel has finally said something about maybe perhaps not being the Michigan athletic director at the end of the week. All that's coming up here after the bumper. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year-round. If you're into that, consider joining the more than 212,000 subscribers to Adapt and Respond, a college football podcast. You can also catch us on Spotify and Apple if you so choose. And I want to talk about Warde Manuel. So I'm going off the rip. I always ask you to do this in the comments, and I'm asking you to do this again. Answer the question below. Will Warde Manuel be Michigan's athletic director next Monday? Okay, we're recording this on July 13th. That's a Monday, which is kind of weird because generally you know who your athletic director is going to be going into football season right about now, and the fiscal year, or I should say the start of the fiscal year, has come and gone. Now, you'll see some moving and shaking here, but what had happened was the University of Michigan's Board of Regents decided to commission a law firm to investigate the culture at Michigan following the firing of former head coach Sherrone Moore. Sherrone Moore, who walked into Warde Manuel's office and admitted to having an inappropriate relationship with a former football assistant in Paige Schreiber. And that went even further in that he trespassed into her apartment, threatened to hurt himself in front of her. Sherrone Moore ends up with probation and is no longer the head coach at Michigan. This was the latest scandal during Warde Manuel's watch as athletic director at Michigan. Many of these you know and are public, right? For instance, Matt Weiss, former offensive coordinator at Michigan, was caught hacking into the information of thousands of student athletes while inside Schembechler Hall, been indicted by the feds. Connor Stalions organized the most robust advanced scouting operation that we've seen. Some of us would say that it was cheating, myself, right? That led to the Big Ten reprimanding Jim Harbaugh and the university and the NCAA ultimately fining Michigan more than $30 million. Of course, they ran the table, won the national championship 2023. You also have in there Jim Harbaugh getting a show cause from the NCAA for how he had acted during said scandal. So Sherrone Moore, Matt Weiss, Jim Harbaugh, Connor Stalions, all on Warde Manuel's watch. I don't think you need to spend $12 million at a law firm to tell you that it ain't all on the up and up over there. Now, that said, the Board of Regents and president have felt no reason to move on Warde Manuel's athletic director during this time. In fact, they allowed him to make the next hire for the football coach, Kyle Whittingham. And just a couple of days ago, the men's basketball coach, Mike Boynton, after Dusty May won a national championship and then said, I don't want to do this college thing no more. I want to be head coach of Dallas Mavericks. For those of us that have been watching this very closely, you and I, it felt like this was done and dusted in as far as Manuel is concerned. They believe in that dude. They want him to run the department. And up until now, it felt like they were going to give him a vote of confidence. I don't know what else you can construe from him getting to hire the next coach and the next coach, right? Football, men's basketball. I'll add in here, it is wild that Warde Manuel is looking at the option of taking a buyout just 3 months after watching his men's basketball program win the national championship. Now, there's been a lot of reporting that has come out since Yahoo Sports first made this national news on Sunday afternoon. Warde Manuel actually talked to Ross Dellinger at Yahoo Sports on Monday, and he said, "The president and I have had several great conversations over the past couple of days. There are no plans for me to continue to be athletic director for the near future." To not, well, I misread that on quote. Ron, check this out. Let me do this again. There are no plans for me not to is important there, continue to be the athletic director for the near future. Reading is fundamental. Thank you for watching me this far. Contract for Warde Manuel, always interesting to me. Maybe it's interesting to you. $1.9 million as a base salary through 2030, and plus a $350,000 annual retirement contribution. Hey, how would we all like to get $350K to our 401k just for doing the job? That'd be pretty cool. He would be owed the equivalent of 3 years of salary and retirement contributions if he is fired without cause. It doesn't look like Michigan wants to eat that kind of money, too. And, Warde Manuel has basically said the same thing about his job at Michigan since, we all started to ask that question, like, are you feeling some internal scrutiny? I remember Adam Rittenberg had a good story about this in the spring around Michigan football. And one of the things that Manuel had said is, look at my record. I don't know a place in America that doesn't have issues. This is April. I don't know a household. I don't know a family. I don't know a company that doesn't have issues. What I'm proud of is the way our people continue to move forward. To which I would say the difference between Michigan's family issues and your family issues, my family issues, they don't usually make it into the public domain. Like, Ron, forgive me if I'm wrong here, but do you remember how we found out that Jada Pinkett Smith was doing stuff with August Alsina? Because I do.
Yes, it was off the public,
us, right? Is that what happened?
I don't think so. I think that if this is our family has issues, this absolutely requires you to go to therapy. Like, you might need to take a step away and respect my privacy for a moment before you come back.
I'm very much of the opinion that saying nothing is still a decent enough strategy. You have to be willing for other people to say things because they're going to fill the void. But the right to not incriminate yourself is one thing, but also claiming that you are no different than anybody else, that ain't working for me. You're the University of Michigan. Y'all even say things like Michigan men, right? It's a standard that you hold yourselves to that is higher than the standard that you believe the rest of us hold ourselves to in many cases.
I think that if your job as an AD is to make money and win games and win championships, Warde Manuel has done a great job. But if it also includes running a program that doesn't make the news for the types of activities that have happened in the football office and the hockey office, then I'm not sure that if this happened to other CEOs, I think that they might be removed or be asked to resign. I'm surprised that I'm not saying surprised, but if he repeats the championships in football and basketball, do they hold on to him even if the same kinds of controversies come up? Or is there an expectation that, maybe you stop having that happen, because he talks as if he is a custodian? The problems that come up, I handle them as they hit my desk, and it feels not very proactive.
It's a good point to say that most heads of major organizations, and Michigan Athletic Department is a major organization, even the football program is a major organization, are stewards, right? They're not supposed to have that job for very long, and they're supposed to leave it better than they found it. They're also not supposed to sully the name, right? what's fascinating to me about how this conversation is going is if you are grading Warde Manuel on the wins, he's in the top 1% of athletic directors in all the sports today, right? If you're grading him on win without making any mess, no, that's a loser. That's a losing conversation. If an assistant on your staff gets indicted, that's a losing conversation. If your head coach receives a show cause, that's a losing conversation. If the head coach that you hired to follow the head coach that got the show cause cannot acknowledge that maybe he should not have a relationship with somebody inside of the office, and that leads to you needing to terminate him, that's a losing conversation. I believe you get paid to do a job like athletic director, CEO at all, to win and to win without any mess at all. People do it. People do it. It requires tremendous discipline. It requires some luck, but it also requires that you have to be so on all the time, looking around the corner or delegate to the right people. Can bad things come to find other people all the time? Yeah, they do, generally. But I also get back to the space of it's a really good run for a dude that played at Michigan and became the first black athletic director at Michigan, hired the first black head coach at Michigan, fired the first black head coach at Michigan, and unless there's much ado about nothing, becomes another high-profile black head who got fired. We won't call a buyout fired in legal terms, but like it ain't like the dude says he wants to keep the job, right? I tend to look at this and ask myself, what would I want for my university, right? And I would want to try again. I would want to say, nah, winning at this level with this cost, nah, I'm good. We can do it again. I believe we can build it again. And if this law firm comes back with a damning report that points all of its fingers at Warde Manuel, then you got to move on it because that's what you paid for. You paid to find out what the problem was. And if this commission study or by this law firm says it's Warde Manuel, then you got to do something different. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? And it doesn't mean your championships go away. It also gives everybody an opportunity to reset, and that means the rest of us. Yes, public scrutiny sucks. That's how it goes sometimes. But anytime you hear a story like this one, like the thing that got me is John U. Bacon coming out on Sunday evening saying he expects Warde Manuel to be offered the buyout and for him to take it. For those of y'all that don't know John U. Bacon, I've been reading John U. Bacon since I was in middle school, right? I'm damn near 40. John U. Bacon writes a Michigan book, it seems like every friggin' year. And he has taught there and been one of its most ardent historians of the football program, sports in general. If you remember HBO Real Sports back when it was cool, John U. Bacon would pop up every now and again. It's not a man that wants to come out here telling everybody that his athletic director's got to take a buyout. Okay. It is also a man that would very much like to walk around with that high Windsor knot, saying that he's a Michigan man and being proud of it. And if there is some way in which you can get back to that, I think you should take it. I think you should take it. We will wait and see what happens in as far as Warde Manuel's job is concerned. As the report or parts of it are expected to come out on Thursday. There's a meeting that's supposed to happen on Thursday, and perhaps we'll find out some news about Warde Manuel between now and then. But I am going to be very curious to figure out that question I posed to you. Is he going to be the athletic director next Monday? All right. After the break, I want to talk about why a dinner at Cattleman's is always about a business deal and how this one might have gone, knowing that you got Brett Yormark on one side, Cody Campbell on the other. All that's after the break. Back on Adapt and Respond with me, RJ Young. If you are new to the channel, consider joining the more than 212,000 subscribers to Adapt and Respond to College Football podcast. You can also catch us on Apple and Spotify. So I teased this by talking about, the Fort Worth meeting, which I swear to you is going to lead me into 5 for 5, which I also swear to you is going to lead me into some more conversation about what we expect from the Big 12 going into 2026. But I want to touch on this because we touched a bit on it last week, but it's worth revisiting. So there was a meeting at Fort Worth between Brett Yormark and Texas Tech brass. I should say Brett Yormark and the executive committee, which I believe is the ADs at Kansas, or presidents at Kansas, Kansas State, and Utah, BYU, and Brett Yormark with Texas Tech and its brass, Cody Campbell, Joe McGuire, et al. And out of that conversation was supposed to be a burying of the hatchet, but the way that we were given news of this conversation basically comes back to, I don't think the Texas Tech understands that it's still the new money and that it needs to stop acting like the old money. Texas Tech be moving like it was Oklahoma winning Big 12 championships. And I'm telling you, winning one Big 12 championship ain't nothing. As a matter of fact, Texas Christian might be looking at Texas Tech like, yo, have you played for a national championship? Since when do you get to move around like we need you? And Texas Tech seems to think that the Big 12 very much needs them, right? Which is another reason why I think reading the room ought to be at the top of the list for Texas Tech brass. Not so. You know who else really could benefit from reading the room? Local judges. Y'all heard me talk about this, right? So a couple weeks ago, I wrote a column, Fox Sports, you can go read it, where the conversation of college commissioner was coming up. And I had said, look, college football has a commissioner, and his name is local judge. And local judge reads the room locally. He don't read it nationally. He don't give a damn about it nationally. We know this because a local judge, that means the state of Texas, which is local to the national, that is United States, right, decided to let Brendan Sorsby be eligible against the NCAA, going, yo, he gambled on his own team. We got permanent eligibility for that. Ineligibility for that. Like, come on. Can't do that. And he's like, actually, I looked at some of the ways y'all be handling y'all cases, and I can't make no rhyme or reason, so I'm going to let him play. Right? And you've seen that all around. Trinidad Chambliss got another year, claiming to have been thwarted on a red shirt that he was owed. But Joey Aguilar was trying to get another year by saying, hey, my time as a JUCO player should not count toward my time as an FBS player. And a judge in Tennessee was like, I went to the University of Tennessee, and even I don't think that that's going to work. That's cockamamie. Take you behind in the NFL. Well, that's not how they see it in the great state of Ohio, at least in the case of these 15 basketball players from Xavier, where, well, as I understand this, you got Christopher Wagner, who's a judge who went to Xavier, went to Cincinnati for law school. His wife is the dean of Cincinnati Law School, which doesn't really factor for me because I don't think that he's pulling for the home team on this or the home, but even though he might be pulling for the home state, who knows? What I think is interesting is that he decided to grant a temporary injunction to 15 players to play another season immediately and or into the transfer portal for 2026. What's fascinating about this is all these players have graduated. So what are they suing for? Well, the 5 for 5 rule, which to the Division I FBS Oversight Committee's, I should say, great. Ron, what's the word I'm looking for? When they see it correctly and they see it clearly.
Great clarity.
Thank you. Great clarity. They said, hey, rather than have people continue to sue us over our eligibility rules, which worked up until quite literally like name, image, and likeness came online, and we started paying players like, you mean I can make more money in college than I could in the NFL or the NBA? Let me go ahead and see about this money. How can I stay in school? Like, homie that played at Alabama earlier this year went to the G League and then tried to come back to play for Alabama just before the tournament started. Like, we've been doing anything to try to make some money over here. All right, cool. But the thing that bothers me about this is like, okay, we get to the 5 for 5 rule. That's great. It means that Every athlete gets 5 years to play 5 years. We're giving you another year of eligibility. The clock starts when you enroll or you turn 19. The reason that this is cool is because you get rid of 26, 27, 28-year-olds who are trying to extend their eligibility, as opposed to like Jordan Adams, who is a former first-round Major League Baseball draft pick who never enrolled as a 5-star wide receiver and is now 26 walking on at SMU. That's going to be fun. Watch that one. That's one of my favorites. Jordan Adams got drafted 8 spots behind Kyler Murray in the 2018 Major League Baseball draft. But that's not what we're talking about, right? We're talking about these kinds of dudes. But these kinds of dudes are like, yo, I can still make a little bit of money and play college basketball. Maybe I want to go do that. So they can re-enroll and get that 5th year. I understand the thinking here that this is going to limit the number of people that can continue to play college sports seemingly in perpetuity for, 5, 6, 7 years, depending on what judge you can find and whatever case you can find to try to support your case. What I think is even more interesting about this is that it's probably going to, is the way I see it, make the labor force that much more skilled across the entire board, because you're increasing the number of years you get to play by another year. I call that an increase of 25%. Okay? So 2018, when you had immediate transfer portal eligibility, which is really, I think, the thing that led to name, image, and likeness and all these other things, for years it was, hey, if you enrolled and played at an FBS program or a Division I program and you want to go to another one, you got to sit out a year. Since you don't have to sit out a year anymore, there's lots more money to be made here. And because you could transfer and take a red shirt, you could continue to play in perpetuity. So we have gotten rid of the red shirt. But in truth, we kind of got rid of the red shirt for coaches after Trevor Lawrence 2018. That dude comes off the bench, leads Clemson to a national championship, and almost as soon as he did, you get to see more talented true freshmen getting to play. And even more so now, because now they're getting paid. And coaches want to see a return on their investment. They want to see what the hell it is that they got as early as they can. Then add into that, if a player is not performing well or isn't playing, he will go to his coach and say, I want the red shirt. Coach will have to give him the red shirt. So you're paying a kid to not play football for you, and he gets his year of eligibility. The 5-for-5 puts an end to almost all of that. Now, I think that this is okay. I think this is cool. I'm curious, Ron, is there something that I'm missing about it that would make it, I don't know, uncool or even cooler?
I think that how I have seen the 5-for-5 rule written, there's always that chess that you play with being able to redshirt, which I always thought was relatively interesting in the grand scheme of things. But with how freely you are able to transfer, it's kind of taking some of the shine off of that. If anything, I think that the 5-for-5 rule has taken a little bit of charm out of the sport a bit, because now we don't have room for non-traditional students. I know that one of my favorite things about watching a sport is seeing the 30-year-old quarterback that was bagging groceries, and that's kind of taken off the table now. I'd say as it's introduced now, you're right. It's going to lead to teams having more talent than they did pre-COVID. But I also think that's the opportunity, so we don't have to worry about grad transfers going to Eastern Carolina. So now I think that makes every team a little bit stronger, and making teams a little bit stronger, I think the scheduling is probably going to be, if one takeaway that I was going to have is teams are just going to be harder. You're simply going to have, from here on out, less easy games.
Man, I hope so. Although, I put together the 138, right, which is me ranking all 138 teams. It's like a 20,000 word document. What I find is the talent just gets pulled up. So if you're a great FCS player, last year. You're probably playing FBS football this year. Probably at a group of 6 institution. There's more than a handful of FCS stars that end up at Power 4 institutions, but generally those Power 4 institutions have gone into the group of 6 ranks to go raid them. And the level of play is continuing to go up because we also still have caps on rosters, not just scholarships, right? Because we don't have scholarship caps anymore because it's de facto for everybody. In FBS, it's 105. You can have 105 guys on your football team. If you want to put them on scholarship, great. That in and of itself, like 1995 Nebraska had something like 148 players on it. They could just do that. I want to say Florida had like 123. We're not there anymore, and we haven't been there in a while. But also, we just went to playing 12-game regular season in 2006. Do I think that Ohio State versus Grambling is going to be more competitive in 2027 than it was in 2025? Absolutely not, because the levels are going to rise equally. Hey, it'll get better for Grambling. It's also going to get better for Ohio State, which means that it's a sum of zero. It's just not moving in that way. I'm looking forward to perhaps being wrong, right? I would love to see, say, more Trinidad Chamblises. I watched that dude take apart UCO at Ferris State, and I was like, damn, we just play football like that everywhere. And it turns out, actually, no, that dude's a superhuman. Watch him go to Ole Miss and just destroy everybody. Do a thing that Lane Kiffin couldn't do. Beat Georgia and beat him in the college football playoff. But that dude got to play a lot of football. And that's what we've also come to know about this sport, or any sport. The more you get to play, the better you're going to be. A veteran quarterback is always better than an inexperienced quarterback, even if that inexperienced quarterback is more talented than a veteran, because the veteran ain't going to make the mistakes that the inexperienced one is going to. That's why I like the 2 quarterback system. Always kind of drives us crazy, because you can see a coach out there trying to make it happen, trying to be like, hey, I need one dude back there under center that I know is going to be able to handle it, run the offense. I need another dude back there to just make some magic happen because it's 3rd and 11. Pick one, dog, and live with what you got. And generally, the smart thing to do is to go with the younger one, because that's the one that's probably going to keep you in your job. Do you get to do that more with the 5-5? Yes, you do, because you ain't got to worry about red shirt and no quarterback anymore. You can DJ Lagway his behind. Okay? DJ Lagway was the dude everybody wanted to see. Billy Napier's 2024. Started out with Graham. Graham wasn't getting it done. Put DJ in. DJ looked like a godsend. Tore up Sanford. Whooped their whole ass. Looked like they were going to beat Georgia till he got hurt. But the boy got hurt. And the boy got hurt in the offseason. The boy come back around, and Florida ain't no good. Florida 3-9, beat Texas, but 3-9. Know what happens? Billy Napier gets fired. And the 5 started as DJ Lagway ain't really going for the rate that he was going for coming out of high school. Now he's at Baylor, look like a reclamation project. You'll see more of that because of the 5-5 rule. Guys are going to get thrown in the thick of it and getting told, A, you're talented. B, we're paying you a lot of money. C, if you're going to break, I need you to break out here. I need you to break right now so I know what I'm doing. I go get somebody better, because that's the game now. The game is I need to move on as quickly as I can and pivot. Can't too many Jackson Arnolds happen for Brent Venables. I even say it's going to be the one. Speaking of Jackson Arnold, that's the other reason I think that this is going to be cool, at least for this year, right? And Ron and I have been talking about this for a little while. Jackson Arnold, Devin Dampier, Jalen Rayner are just 3 quarterbacks off the top of my head that I think could benefit from playing the next 2 years of college football. Devin Dampier, who is, I'll say it, he's the best dual threat quarterback in football. He can beat you running and passing. We'll see how good he is with a new head coach and offense coordinator this year, but you're also looking around at a guy like Jackson Arnold who really does need a couple of years. Like, he wasn't good at Oklahoma. He wasn't good at Auburn. He needs to be good at UNLV. And if he is, gets to keep that job and maybe work his way into the draft conversation. As we continue to look at other players, even at the top of the market, that I think could benefit from another year. That also would mean that the quarterback transfer portal market will be, once again, record-breaking, because you will have another guy or 2 or 3 or 4 who will be looking at $6 million, $7 million to play 1 year of football. For instance, Damon Williams at Washington was going to go into the transfer portal, come out of LSU. He got whipped over the head with, you got a contract and we're going to sue you, and this is not a good look. Or you can just come back and let bygones be bygones. And for those of y'all that ain't watching enough Damon Williams, that's Kyler Murray up there. That's his skill set. He is that good. he's getting paid $4 million to play at Washington this year. LSU is reportedly, according to Jed Fish, head coach at Washington, going to pay him another $2 million, so $6 million just to transfer to LSU to play football. If you know you got a fifth-year eligibility and you know that you're a good football player, the price of brick going up next year in a way that maybe it comes back down the year after that. Maybe we have an evening of the market because as Ron pointed out, we got the COVID flux that's just kind of going out the window, but we might have another bump with the 5 or 5. That's what I'm going to be watching for. The end of the season, what is the price tag for somebody who knows we are a Sam Levitt, a Brendan Sorsby, a Darian Mensah, a Riley Leonard, a Will Howard away from playing for championships? Y'all wish y'all had a collective bargaining agreement now, I bet. Damn. All right, come back. I want to take a look at the Big 12 preseason media poll. Take a look at what's most surprising about this and why it's not really looking great for Coach Prime and them at Colorado. All that's coming up when we get back. Back on Adapt and Respond with me, RJ Young. If you are new to the channel, consider joining the more than 212,000 subscribers to Adapt and Respond, a college football podcast. You can also listen to us or watch us on Apple and Spotify if you so choose. Answer the question in the comments below. Who will win the Big 12 championship? Full stop. Right? We finally got a release of the Big 12 media poll sometime after Big 12 media days. What's funny about this is Brett Yormark dissolved the Big 12 media poll right after the 2024 season. Why? Because that's the year that Arizona State was coming off a bad year. They were 3-9. We didn't really know what they had at quarterback in Sam Levitt. We didn't know what they had at wide receiver. We didn't know that Cam Scatteraboo was going to be an absolute monster because he transferred in from Sacramento State, among other things. But they were the best team in the league, and they proved it. They won the Big 12 championship. They made the college football playoff, and they took Texas into the deep water. Brett Yormark decided that because Big 12 media had picked a bad Arizona State to finish dead last, that it hurt them when it came time for Arizona State and the rest of the Big 12 to be ranked according to the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. So what media did in July, when we didn't play football and we didn't have any data, you're telling me influence what a bunch of professional suits in December think about your football programs. Nah, man, that's called a scapegoat. So we come back with Big 12 media poll, and we have, instead of everybody getting to vote on it, you select a few people to get a vote on it. Like, when I was coming up and I was going to Big 12 media days every year, this OU and Texas are still in the league, for instance, they would send out an email and you would reply to the email with your votes, right? Newcomer of the year, defensive player of the year, offensive player of the year, who's going to win the league. This year, they decided to go with basically one beat writer to represent each market for each one of the teams, which I thought was pretty interesting. And almost all of these beat writers come from newspapers. Those things y'all don't read. Of these beat writers who got to vote in them, 14 gave first place votes to Texas Tech, knowing that Brendan Sorsby is not going to be the starting quarterback. Okay. The only other team to get first place votes is BYU, who basically returns most of what they had last year from a highlight standpoint, right? Bear Bachmeier, a 3,000-yard passer, one of just 2 in this league last year. LJ Martin, who might be the best tailback in this league, with some debate, right? Caleb Hawkins has a claim to that after what he did at UNT last year, as does Cam Dickey at Texas Tech. I also think it's interesting to note there that of those 2 teams, right, only one could make the college football playoff based on what we know, because you're not getting more than one in. Are you sure you want Texas Tech to be your representative? Not necessarily. But I've been so up on Will Hammond that if he comes off this ACL tear looking good, yeah, I think they're that good because they got so many other great pieces. Like top to bottom, it's one of the best rosters in all of college football. And Joey McGuire is one of the best coaches. I mean, that dude's already in Texas High School Football Hall of Fame and should be, frankly. BYU, Kalani Sitake, they're not necessarily flashy and fun to watch, but they play great defense. Losing Jay Hill to Michigan might hurt them. We'll see. Then it gets interesting, right? Because after 1-2, it's like, all right, cool, right? Arizona at 3, man, I think a lot of people are buying in and Noah Fafita being that dude. Okay, cool, all right. Noah Fafita could spin it. He had Teteroa McMillan last time he could spin it, but he could spin it. But do you know what Arizona could do last year that I'm not sure they can do this year? Be one of the best damn football programs and takeaways. I mean, I'm not kidding. They were very, very good at taking the ball from other people defensively. And the way in which they were able to do these games, like they were a couple of wins away from 11-win season. I want to say they took back-to-back losses to Texas Tech and Houston, I believe. And that's the difference between, basically them playing for championships and not. Can you get that defense back? I'm not so certain, right? Houston, I think Houston's going to be a monster. Willie Fritz is one of the best football coaches nobody talks about. He's got the 3rd most wins of anybody active in the sport right now. And he's got 2 5-star quarterbacks. Connor Wigman, Reclamation Project, but he's good. And Keyshawn Henderson, who might be that dude. We'll find out. I think you're going to play them both. Then you got Utah at 5. Basically, Morgan Scalley goes from defensive coordinator to head coach. He's got Devin Dampier back at quarterback. Muskoge's own Bird Ficklin re-upped with Utah, even though Bird can't throw the football. Almost got profane about it because it teach Bird to throw the football. Okay? I don't need a halfback back there. I need a quarterback back there. Wayshawn Parker's going to be good. I think Texas Christian could edge in here. I would have flipped Arizona and Texas Christian in this poll. Like if we're talking about what the top 5 got going on here. But, that's because Jaden Craig is a dude. He's just coming from Harvard. They might be pretty damn good defensively. We'll see. Until Sonny Dykes always has a good football team. The rest of the way down here, I'm very curious about why Oklahoma State was at 9. Because Oklahoma State has been a darling for most everybody going into this offseason because what Eric Morris is able to do at UNT, and he basically got to back the U-Haul up in Denton and said, hey, everybody get in. We're going to Stillwater. And Drew Mestamaker, 4,000-yard passer. Wyatt Young, like 1,300 yards receiving. Caleb Hawkins, like 1,600 yards from scrimmage. Like they're going to be able to move the football. And then you got teams that are basically fighting for their lives, right? Baylor, Cincinnati, Kansas, West Virginia, Central Florida, Colorado, good grief, Iowa State. All right, Ron, given what you know about Prime, given that Juju Lewis is a 5-star quarterback, a point guard prototype, Brennan Marion's offense features 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers most of the time in some unorthodox formations, and that they feel like they got at least 2 defensive line units that they can platoon in on defense. Do you think Colorado's going to be any good?
That is a difficult question. I think they're going to be fun to watch. I think that they're going to continue that, what they've done for the past few years, which is put up a lot of yards and a lot of points and make it look good, giving people shootouts. But I don't know if they're going to be good.
He claims it's the best coaching staff he's ever had.
Well, of course he said that.
Okay.
I think that's his job to say that. But I don't know if it's going to actually equal wins. Or better yet, not just wins. The kind of the expectations that we've had from the hype. I don't know.
Also, I got to give Ron a shout here because he wrote a funny in the rundown. One of the topics here is Oklahoma State predicted to get a win.
A conference win is an improvement.
Oh my God. Yo,
Just get one.
Okay, all right. Is it just get a conference win, or is it don't lose to Tulsa at home?
I don't really see there much of a distinction without a difference, friend.
He said they're the same picture. He said they're the same picture. All right. No, I saw that and I immediately I cracked up laughing because I know Oklahoma State fans are hurting. You know, Polk fans ain't asking to win no national championship. They're asking to be good. They're asking to not be embarrassed. And my God, was last year embarrassing. Just bad. One more question I think that is worth considering here. Again, Ron with a great one. Would Sorsby have made them a unanimous pick? Texas Tech, that is. No, because there's always one dude that's going to be like, screw that team. Like, SEC got a media poll that's going to come out all the time because they understand that it ain't the media's fault that one of their teams ends up being better than the rest of their teams. Okay, sorry. But there's always one or two dudes that vote Vanderbilt as the best team in the SEC every year. And it's kind of like a running joke, right? Because you can always expect to see it. It's only in the last couple of years where you got to seriously consider it. You know, like they won 10 games last year. Vanderbilt won 10 games last year. Can't wait to talk more about that league, right? Because they're going to have to start a true freshman at quarterback too, that they paying $2 million. No, he would not have been. But would Texas Tech have been the runaway favorite to win the Big 12? Abso-friggin-lutely they would have. That's that. Now, somebody would have screwed that up for them. Unanimous would have been like, yo, y'all not talking to each other? Or nobody wanting to throw haymakers this year? That's wild. Okay, on the way out, I threw something into the family group chat. It's just it's a movie called Your Mother, Your Mother, Your Mother. And I said, oh, so this is the Blade movie we're actually getting. What I did not expect was that Ron would be all in on this because Ron is, I'm a cinephile, but Ron is that cinephile. He's that dude, right? He does movies like I do college football. So I asked this sincerely, Ron. What is about this movie's trailer that got you going, oh, yeah, no. I got, this was good. This one we will watch.
This movie I turn into a little kid when I'm watching this trailer, like, oh, it just looks real good. It looks like the kind of like this slick action movie that we used to get in the 80s, but with like modern sensibilities. And it's when all else fails, you just got to have a man getting revenge. And the fact that they gave it that it's the original hire for Blade and it's Mahershala Ali, and they got him with a sword and in all black and doing the thing. I would watch this regardless, but the fact that this also could have included a ice skating uphill reference, it makes you feel a certain way. Like, why haven't we gotten this yet? Like, I don't know why you would, if you had this in your back pocket, why would you wait 7 years to get it out there? But yeah, if I'm going to do my best to make sure this movie makes $1 trillion.
So this movie, Blade is actually still slated as a project that Disney wants to make, whatever the hell that means to you. But you're right, it being delayed since 2022, and I tell people this often: Blade is the first Marvel movie. Go check that out. Also, Blade means the world to me. Means the world to Ron. Means the world to me. I love that movie. And I don't act like Blade 2 and Blade Trinity didn't happen. I like them movies too. Matter of fact, those of y'all like Deadpool need to thank Blade Trinity, because if Ryan Reynolds ain't get to play that character straight up, you don't get that character, which is one of the other reasons they cleared the deck, right? Deadpool versus Wolverine needed to win. So nothing else is coming out from us. Nothing. Just this. Like, all right, cool. I'm also intrigued by this line from Ron. So Mahershala Ali, who until such time as he does something I care about is Cottonmouth, is 52. Liam Neeson was 56 when Taken was dropped. Old Man Action is still killing. Damn, dog. It reminded me, did you watch The Old Man on FX?
Caught a few episodes. I haven't finished it yet.
I love that TV show, but I also love the series, right? It's good. It is an old ass man absolutely getting it done. Did you know John Wick was originally supposed to be a 70-year-old man?
I read about that.
Keanu Reeves said, I'm going to play this as me. And Derek Kolstad was like, no. And then Basil Iwanek was like, Keanu Reeves just said he's going to make your movie. Shut up. Talking about little indie projects that blow up. You onto something there. I just watched this movie, and I feel like the cool stuff that is going to happen in it is not going to be the stuff that we end up talking about. That's my fear. I also got a problem with this title. You don't need to repeat the title 3 times, but it's in reference to a famous proverb.
That's how you know it's art, RJ.
Man, I'm old enough to remember when making art was still a signal for you don't make no money. I guess I'm not trying to get my feelings up for this movie, but I too am probably going to be one of these people that tries to send this movie to the moon, because what it is doing well is the fight scenes. And it's very clear that Mahershala Ali, Cottonmouth was a Division I basketball player, or could have been. Did you know that Steve Nash got a scholarship offer because Mahershala Ali turned it down? Why haven't we seen this athlete more? What
you
the
mean to
hell
tell
is he
me
doing?
that there is an alternate timeline out there where Mahershala Ali, instead of having back-to-back Oscars, has back-to-back MVPs, still no championship, but and Steve Nash is out there.
I mean, look, I'm on the wiki right now, and I'm looking at Steve Nash, right? I gotta believe that a white dude coming from Canada back then to play point guard was some kind of thing, but I keep reminding people he's not really white. He's from South Africa. Some of y'all get that joke, some of y'all don't. All right, so Steve went to Santa Clara and was a first-round pick. Do we believe that Mahershala Ali could have done the same? Speaking of your alternate universe, do we truly believe this?
In saying that Old Man Action is still alive, and watching this trailer for Your Mother, my dude still has incredibly smooth hips. So I had to imagine bringing him back in the day, he would have been a monster. He would have been the sham god of the West Coast.
What's funny to me about this is Steve Nash is actually an inch taller than Mahershala Ali, which I did not have on my bingo card. But also I learned this because I'm watching Braun's podcast, and Mahershala got up there and could not wait to put Steve on Front Street. Like, he was so into, and this mug is getting in the NBA. And it's like, that was my job. I just didn't want it. And I'm going, ooh, he might actually have some wiggle. It wasn't the dude was like, nah, I wasn't really going to be like that, and I had a good camp or whatever. He genuinely believes he is that dude. So, yeah, I very much want to see him be that dude, because he ain't that dude in Moonlight, and he ain't that dude at Cottonmouth. And I can keep listing off a whole bunch of spaces where he ain't that dude in Green Book. Ron, since when have we decided, even Michael B. Jordan had to be athletic before he turned 30 in movies, right? We can talk about TV, but in movies, how do we get this far? How do you get in your 50s without us seeing you slinging swords and shooting guns, and you had everything possible to, on par with an NBA All-Star? Again, no championships, but man, if you're recruiting him, are you recruiting a scoring guard? Are you recruiting a point guard? Steve Nash is a point guard who became a scoring guard, but point guard. Mahershala Ali looked like a dude, or talks like a dude that just gets buckets.
I think you have to blame Denzel on this one. Everybody wants to be a thespian, so we don't need to show the physicality of the body doing sports or like wild action. I need to know if you can stand up in court and give a good monologue. I need to know if you can inspire people with a whistle around your neck. I don't think that the path forward is to show yourself to be a good athlete, to do action, especially if you're somebody like Mahershala Ali.
It's funny because the only thing I can remember Samuel L. Jackson doing is running through the street, running away wounded, running after Bruce Willis, running away from Bruce Willis, running at Kevin Spacey. Talk about a movie that got all sorts of action, but two dudes that ain't doing much of anything. Yeah, all right, fine. So I'm gonna watch this movie, but the reward for not wasting your time ice skating uphill. Ron Taylor, my God. All right. That is going to do it for today's episode of Adapt and Respond. If you like the show, send it to a friend, subscribe to us across the socials, and let me know in the comments below. We will catch y'all on the flip side. Doses.